Hi students, my name is Jatin Dewan, and in this lesson we will be reading and studying about organisms and populations. So ecology, what is ecology? Ecology is the subject which studies interaction among organisms and between the organisms and its physical environment. Ecology is basically concerned with four levels of biological organization, namely organism, population, community, and biome. So, ecology at the organismic level is essentially physiological ecology, which tries to understand how different organisms are adapted to their environment in terms of not only survival but also reproduction. Annual variations in intensity and duration of temperature resulting in distinct seasons, along with precipitation, accounts for the formation of major biomes such as desert, rain, forest, and tundra. So there are major abiotic factors which are responsible. These are temperature, water, light, and soil. So if you see here on the left hand side, this pyramid depicts from left to right how the climate changes from dry to wet, and then top to bottom is decrease in the cold weather, and it becomes warmer and warmer. And on the right hand side below, you see the mean annual precipitation in centimeters, highest being in the tropical forest. And on the left hand side, you see the mean annual temperature, which is decreasing along the axis, so which is again highest in the desert area and in the tropical forest as well. So major abiotic factors, which include temperature. Temperature decreases progressively from equator towards the pole, and high attributes, that is lesser than 50 degrees centigrade in tropical deserts in summer. Thermal springs and deep sea hydrothermal vents are unique with almost 100 degrees centigrade. Temperature affects the kinetics of enzymes, and then Eurothermals are the organisms which can tolerate wide range of temperatures. Stenothermal organisms can tolerate narrow range of temperatures. Then the second one will be water. Water is a very important factor that influences the life of organism. The productivity and distribution of plants is also dependable on water. The salinity varies in aquatic environment, that is 5% in inland water, that is fresh water, 30 to 35 in seawater, and more than 100% in hypersaline lagoons. The third factor, which is responsible for the organisms and population, is light. So light would have the particular uses like plant produce food by photosynthesis, which only is responsible in presence of light. So hence it is very important for autotrophs. Plant species such as herbs and shrubs adapted for photosynthesis, they photosynthesize under canopy. Sunlight is required for photoperiodic response like flowering. And then animals use diurnal and seasonal variations in light intensity and photoperiod as cues for timing their foraging, reproductive, and migration. The fourth abiotic factor is soil. So soil would definitely depend upon the properties of soil, would vary according to the climate and the weathering process. The soil composition, grain size, and aggregation determine the percolation and water holding capacity of the soil. These characteristics, along with pH, mineral composition, and topography, determine to a large extent the vegetation in any area. The sediment characteristic often determine the type of benthic animal in aquatic environment. The response to the abiotic factors. Homeostasis. Homeostasis is defined as the process by which the organism can maintain a constant internal environment in respect to changing external environment. So organisms coping with changing environment through they regulate, migrate, suspend, and hibernate. So regulation would include some organisms are able to maintain homeostasis, physiological, sometimes behavioral also, means which ensures constant body temperature and constant osmotic concentration. Migrate would mean that the organisms move away temporarily from the stressful habitat to a more hospitable area and return when stressful condition is over. They would suspend, like the thick wall spores are formed in microbes to overcome unfavorable stressful external environment. Spores germinate into favorable conditions. Hibernation during winters, animals like bears escape in time. Aestivation. Aestivation would mean that animals like snails and fish avoid summer related problems like heat and desiccation. And then this pauses. Many zooplanktons undergo a stage of suspended development in unfavorable condition. And lastly, conformers. Thermoregulation is energetically expensive for many animals. Heat lost or heat gain is a function of surface area. Small animals have larger surface area relative to their volume. They tend to lose body heat very fast when it is cold outside. Then they have to spend much energy to generate body heat through metabolism. This is why small animals are rarely found in polar regions. Adaptation. Adaptation is any attribute of organism that could be morphological, physiological, and behavioral that enables the organism to survive and reproduce in its habitat. So adaptation occurs in of animals in desert, adaptation of plants in desert like xerophytes, then adaptation of animals in cold climate, adaptation in high altitude. Then there are behavioral adaptations as well. So, adaptation of animals in cold climate follows the alien's rule. That means the mammals from colder climate generally have shorter ears and limbs to minimize heat loss. Behavioral adaptation would mean like desert lizards are conformer, hence they cope with the stressful environment by behavioral adaptations. They bask in the sun and absorb heat when their body temperature drops below comfort zone in winter. Move to the shade when the ambient temperature starts increasing. Some species start burrowing into the soil to hide and escape from the above ground heat. Now, population. Population is a group of individuals living in a well-defined geographical area. They share or compete for similar resources, potentially interbred. Then birth rate and death rate and sex ratio are some of the attributes of population. The shape of pyramids reflects the growth status of population, like growing, stable, and declining. This is growing, this is stable, and this is declining. That means the decrease in population growth. So population growth has a wonderful formula which I love the most, and probably you will find it easy as well once you understand. Population size is defined as the natality, which is the birth rate, plus the immigration, subtracted by mortality plus immigration. So natality would mean the number of births in given period in a population. Mortality would mean the death rate and the number of deaths in a given period of time. Immigration would mean the number of individuals of same species that have come into the habitat from elsewhere during given period of time. And then immigration would mean the number of individuals of the population who left the habitat and have gone elsewhere during a given period of time. So population, natality is added, immigration is added, and after adding the both of them, mortality and immigration is subtracted from it. Thus it forms a sigmoid curve. So the phases shown in the sigmoid curve can be explained from this slide easily. The growth models, on the left hand side there is exponential growth, and on the right hand side is the logistic growth. In the exponential growth, it is unrestricted, it is just growing without any stops. And in the logistic, which is the restricted growth, the population size grows for a specific period of time, and then later on the rate slows down quite at a number. So that is why hence it is called as restricted growth model. The population interactions, predation. Organism of higher trophic level, that is called a predator, feeds on organism of lower trophic level, which is called as prey, and this process is called as predation. Competition generally occurs when closely related species or unrelated species compete for the same resources that are limiting. Parasitism, that is of two types, ectoparasite and endoparasite. Ectoparasite are the ones which feed on external surface of host, and endoparasite are the ones which live inside the host body of different sites. Then commensalism and mutualism. Commensalism is the interaction in which one species benefits the other is neither benefit nor harm. So basically, like, no one gets any benefit. So mutualism, interaction between two living organisms, both are equally benefited, none is harm. I hope it was quite clear for you to understand organism and populations. If you've got any further questions, please comment below. Thank you for watching.